Podcast City Network.
Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Everett Lee Show podcast. I want to give a quick shout out to everyone that follows me on social media and those that support
Podcast City Network.
And what do we have going on here? We got some background noise.
Listener discretion.
Yeah, we do. All right, let's kill the background noise, man. So, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, yeah, we got I'm live right now, right here on twitch.tv/Podcast City Network, and right here on facebook.com/The Everett Lee Show Facebook page. I want to thank those tuning in right now to this live episode of The Everett Lee Show. And I hope everyone enjoyed last week's episode, because I certainly did, having Rissa Pappas on. Great conversation and everything. If you haven't checked it out, see those links right there to the audio portion of the podcast: Podbeam, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes. Follow, like, share, download. And of course, on social media, Everett Lee Show. Follow, like, share, download all content that Everett Lee puts out there. But I want to mention that I'm not alone tonight, because I have none other than it's been a while since he's been on the podcast, man, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long time since he's been on the podcast. I had him on last year for just an episode where we had friendly discussion. I want to introduce back on the Everett Lee Show none other than Chris Carnage. How you doing there, Chris?
Hey, fans. Tell you what, it's great to be back on the Everett Lee Show. Been doing so much crazy stuff lately, whether it be Final Score, going out and making things happen with Podcast City Network. Things have been insane.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine things have been pretty damn crazy, man.
Oh, yeah, man. It's been nuts.
It is. It has. And I'm happy that you're on here tonight to join me on this podcast talking about WWE Super Showdown, which will be streaming live on the WWE Network at noon Eastern. So if you're not at work and you're at home, you got a day off and you're in the mood to watch some wrestling, watch pay-per-view. Watch pay-per-view if you have nothing on, though. But before we get into that, Chris, man, there's a couple things that I want to announce, and you know what one of them is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be epic.
What's that?
It's going to be epic.
Of course it's going to be epic, man, because what Chris is talking about that was being epic is the 2-year anniversary show brought to you by Podcast City Network at City Limits Tap Room on March 7th, Saturday, March 7th, with our good friends and supporters of Podcast City Network and your good friends, Chris. Talk about Seven Kingdoms playing for the first time at City Limits Tap Room in DeLand, Florida. And what else is going to be happening at this 2-year show here, Chris?
You know, I love that we're talking about this, because this event onto itself is going to be an amazing event. There's so much going to be going on. First time that CCE Presents and Podcast City Network are going to come together to bring you this show. Great lineup of bands between Rendered Abstract, as well as Thicket, and of course our main event, Seven Kingdoms. It's going to be an amazing show, and of course Podcast City Network is going to be there. So to give you the rundown of everything that's going to be happening, we're going to be going live on the Podcast City Network Facebook page, and we're going to go and bring you some amazing interviews as myself, Chris Carnage, will go and talk with Rendered Abstract, with Thicket, and with Seven Kingdoms as we do Draft Day. That's going to be kicking off at 5 p.m. on March 7th. So definitely make sure that you keep your eyes glued to the Podcast City Network official Facebook page for when we go live. Tickets, though, if you're going to come out, cover is $10. So bring that $10, help support these bands. Come on out. Doors will be at 8 for the concert aspect of the night. And, of course, all the amazing drinks and food that City Limits always provides. It's going to be an amazing time. Make sure you come out.
That's right. Make sure you come out and support Podcast City Network and support Seven Kingdoms and the bands and the music that's going to be here at this event at City Limits Tap Room. Please show up.
And if you are all about your brews, don't forget Derek the Beer Guy will be there with his amazing brews for draft day. So it's going to be great stuff for everything they have on tap at City Limits. I tell you what, I'm hyped for this. This is going to be great.
I am too. I'm definitely hyped. I'm definitely hyped about this event. There's something else I'm really hyped about too. For the fact that you can, if you're going to start a podcast, I want to mention that you can head over to Podbeam for your podcast hosting. Please sign up and use Podbeam. Everett Lee Show uses Podbeam for his audio podcast. It's a great platform, a great way to get the podcast out over on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and even iHeart. This week, Everett Lee Show is finally on freaking iHeart Radio, and it's all brought to you by Podbeam. So if you click on the links on podcastcity.net, Everett Lee Show page at the top or the bottom, be sure to use this code here, podbeam.com/PB sign up, and you can get 1 month free by joining Podbeam. And it's brought to you by the Everett Lee Show and Podbeam. But besides that right there, we got the intro playing again. Let me click off of it. There we go. I got so much.
Don't need all that.
I know. I got so much shit going on here. So let's get into this, Chris, man. It's been a while since we talked about some wrestling, man. I mean, pretty much it's just of an event that's going to be happening this Thursday, huh?
It's going to be something. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is going to be something. Looking at this card, I just want to say, looking at this match card here for Super Showdown, just going through reading what's on here. Dude, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of a WWE live event. House show. I'm serious. This is what this shit reminds me of, a live event. That's what it reminds me of. A house show, the way this card is. Doesn't, if you really look at it, would you say that too? If you look at
well, you got to kind of think of like how the show's going to run, because at the end of the day, it has that house show feel, just because of the fact that not only are some of these matches absolutely ridiculous in their booking, like Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet, really? But the thing I see at the end of the day is that this entire pay-per-view, all of these shows that are done in Saudi Arabia, are done literally curtailed for them. These usually barely ever really have much tied into them in any kind of way for the main storyline. The only things they're really carrying over that's legitimate storyline that I really see is the tag matches, which I feel are more thrown together with a storyline for this show, and Roman Reigns and King Corbin.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
I agree. I definitely agree with you right there. I definitely agree. Since you're talking about on the list here, do you wanna go down the list, or do you just want to throw out pick random matches here?
You know what? Let's just run it down the list, because no matter what, it's going to be a lot of the same things said. So let's just hit the list.
You just want to hit the list. I don't have that sound effect anymore, man. I don't have that sound effect.
Oh, see, and I set up perfectly for it.
I do got this though.
I do what I can.
I do have this right here. There's basically, I wanted to say at the beginning of the program,
It's showtime.
That's basically what I wanted to say. But let's talk about the top of the list here. Your the first one on this list here, the New Day with Big E and Kofi Kingston, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, going up against The Miz and the returning John Morrison for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship belts.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Miz and Morrison, as soon as Morrison came back, of course, creative had to put his ass back with Miz, because they were so great 8 years ago, were they not?
But that was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. Well, I think, like, honestly, because of where both of them are at in their careers, they honestly are very well-established veterans that have been around the block in a lot of different ways. So it's great to kind of see them back together, but I honestly was hoping for a lot more with John Morrison coming back.
I am too. I was looking more for John Morrison, not Morrison and Miz, because the Miz was doing pretty good there as being a face. And then when Morrison came back, they threw him and Miz right back into the heel roles.
Oh, yeah. Right back in.
Yeah, right back in for what they're famous for. And what gets me is that they're going after the tag team titles again. I mean, how many times have these guys won the tag titles back 8 years ago when these guys were together, Chris?
It's been plenty of times. I honestly don't have an exact number. I'm actually looking it up right now. But it's just crazy that they are still trying to like beat the horse. It seems like with trying to keep this tag team or this idea of this tag team alive, which I feel like honestly is very representative of Vince McMahon and his approach to everything as a whole. So it's kind of crazy to me that we're kind of seeing old tag teams, old angles, old feuds, this, that, and the other thing get kind of brought back into the forefront. So it's kind of interesting to see this happen the way it has. And they were World Tag Team Champions together once.
Yes.
WWE Tag Team Champions once. So twice they had tag titles together.
Yeah.
I knew I'd find it by the time I was done talking.
It's just for the fact that you get both. You have Miz
It's nostalgia.
You have Miz and Morrison. Creative WWE creative is just basically just sitting there trying to figure out what are we gonna do. But I only have one thing to say about WWE creative at this point.
But there's one problem. Everybody still thinks that I absolutely suck.
That's right. Creative, WWE creative, you absolutely suck. But anyway, Chris, you got to pick a winner out of this right here. Who are you going to go with? Are you going to go with New Day retaining the tag team titles, or are you going to figure that Morrison and Miz are going to take the titles? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, honestly, I can see it kind of going either way, given how this match is booked. Obviously, people love Big E and Kofi, the New Day, just because of the monumentous run they've already had as tag team champions. However, with Super Showdown and everything going on, you got Miz and Morrison back together. I think that dynamic, honestly, I think they're going to give them one more run with the titles. I'm picking Miz and Morrison.
Miz and Morrison. I am too. I wouldn't be surprised that they win this title and even go further, where basically New Day goes after the titles at WrestleMania 36 here in the next couple months, though. But
absolutely,
that's one thing I'm just predicting there in the long shot, though. But I'm gonna have to go with Morrison and the Miz, because New Day's held on to those titles, and boys, you got to get rid of those titles because it's getting a little bit fickle. So time to pass the belts, boys. Yep. Now this right here, this next match, it just reminds me of this one. I'm going to let you start on this one. I'm going to tell you what this match is. Brock Lesnar defending the WWE Championship against Ricochet.
I have too many feelings about this. I think we should save this one.
Okay.
Let's save this one till a little later, because I have a lot of feelings about this one. So if you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and roll on to the next match, because I think it actually is a little bit more intriguing.
Okay.
And that is Roman Reigns versus King Corbin in a steel cage match.
God. How many times are we going to see Roman Reigns go after with King Corbin? I thought the Royal Rumble was the last time these guys were going to freaking feud, man.
But that's where they get you, and that's something I've noticed lately about WWE, is that they try to keep these feuds going, especially for when they have these Saudi Arabian pay-per-views happen. So you see a lot of these rivalries that we think finally has ended basically get rebooted, or just extended, whatever kind of wording you want to use for it, to be able to satisfy that Saudi Arabian crowd. So not that I'm saying it's a bad idea, but for fans of us who've been able to view this multiple times, it gets kind of old.
It does. The Saudi Arabia crowd is just when it comes to this right here, because they like their Roman Reigns, and of course they like their they like their King Corbin there. I mean, why not? Are you hearing any of the sound effects I'm playing?
I do not.
Oh, you don't.
That's why you have not heard me have any remarks, sir. I've not been able to hear them.
You haven't. I've been playing them on and off, man. On and off. I've been playing the sound effects.
It's okay. It's okay, though. I roll with it. Chris Carnage life. Ha ha.
All right. Well, how about this? Did you hear that one?
Nope.
No? Okay, so the soundboard's dead tonight.
It's all good though. But you know what? With this Roman Reigns King Corbin match, I think it has some potential to it, given it's in front of a new kind of crowd. There's a lot of interesting little dynamics right now with it. But like we said previously, this match has been rehashed and rehashed. But we must have a winner. And honestly, I feel like with the hometown crowd, Saudi Arabia, I think honestly they're gonna be more behind Roman Reigns in this match. And I'm picking Roman Reigns to go over.
Are you? You're picking Roman Reigns to go over with on this one right here?
I think Roman Reigns will finally go over.
Okay.
Because it's in Saudi Arabia.
It's in Saudi Arabia, so that's why. I wanna before I pick who I think's gonna win, I wanna look at the chat. The chat is on fire tonight, man. We got a lot of people jumping in and out on this Chris, man. I want to mention that shout out to John Lampherd. He says, Chris, you're a beast in wrestling.
That's Josh Lamphere.
Josh.
And that dude is a baller. Good guy. He says I was a beast in wrestling.
Yes.
Yes, I was. I think he actually got to see me wrestle. Those were crazy times back when I was wrestling, I tell you what.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine, man. I mean, just the footage and stuff that I've seen of you back in the day, they're wrestling.
And it's crazy. I have the footage of pretty much when I injured my back. So, you know, it ended just as epically as it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, David C. Russell, man, we got to say that he's pretty much like the moderator tonight here in the chat, man. This guy is like killing it, man. He's excited for the 2-year, and he said, we just made the list, and Chris is in the 90s Raw era, LOL, not 2020. He picks The Miz and John, as previously we just talked about, but
yep.
I am going to have to say, of course, Corbin is getting beat, and of course, you have Roman Reigns is going to come out on top here. Again, he's going to beat Corbin in front of the Saudi crowd, and the Saudi crowd is going to sit there and just be all just about it. So, yep. But, yeah, I mean, beating a dead horse, though, but who knows? We'll see what happens with Mr. Reigns with WrestleMania when it gets closer here in the next couple months. What plans they're gonna do with him, because I don't know if you heard, they've already changed up the plans. Getting creative is just trying.
So ridiculous.
Yeah. Creative is trying to figure out what the hell to do and where to do it at. So
I mean, doesn't that sound like WWE overall though? Like they're always just trying to figure it out because hey, we're WWE and we can't get our heads out of our collective. You know what? Let me sell myself there. I forgot we're established now. Podcast City Network is the thing. I gotta be a good boy.
You gotta be a good boy.
I gotta be good, Chris Carnage. I can't go F5ing people through tables at random.
You can't, man. You can't do that because that's not allowed. That is not allowed because if it happens, then it's just not going to be a good thing.
I mean, not if I don't plan it. If it happens that way, then hey, we're good. So see what happens. Maybe something will happen March 7th. Who knows? I guess you guys got to come out and find out. 2620 North Woodland Boulevard. City limits. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
But either way though, we got Roman Reigns, but we got to talk about this next match. And you know what? I think I'm finally ready to talk about Brock Lesnar and Ricochet. I think we should go ahead and talk about that one.
You want to talk about it? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. What's on your mind?
Because honestly, the match that was after Roman Reigns and King Corbin, I think we need to save it at the end because I'm definitely going to say some choice words. Yeah. But Brock Lesnar and Ricochet, this whole match is honestly kind of a gimmick onto itself because Brock Lesnar obviously is champion, Ricochet now somehow become #1 contender, but it's at random. And I think honestly it's just to kind of showcase what Ricochet can do with a guy that's as big and strong as Brock Lesnar. Now we've seen Ricochet work with other guys like Braun Strowman and stuff like that, but working with Brock Lesnar, I think we might see some interesting stuff in this match.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be some interesting stuff if Lesnar lets Ricochet get in and do his stuff. That's my only problem because I don't want this to be another SmackDown debut on Fox where as soon as the bell rings, Kofi Kingston, he gets treated like Kofi Kingston, like boom, boom, 1, 2, 3. I don't want that because hopefully they give the Saudi people their money's worth on this.
And that's what I think they're trying to do. I really think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I just hope that they're able to let him showcase some of the stuff that he could do, because, I mean, back during the Royal Rumble with Lesnar and Rey Mysterio.
Throwing it back.
No, further back, TLC, I think it was. Yeah, it was TLC or something like that. Yeah. So a few months ago, they let that happen. Well, hopefully they're going to let this happen with Ricochet. Let him show some stuff that he can do and get Lesnar off his toes. But in the end, my pick is the Beast, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, for this match, honestly, I have to agree. It doesn't make sense that Brock Lesnar is going to drop the title in Saudi Arabia to Ricochet. I mean, I would love to see Ricochet upset Brock Lesnar, but sadly, the Beast Incarnate is going to go over and retain his championship.
He is sadly enough, he is. He's going to retain the championship because there's big plans coming up on the horizon for WrestleMania. So the Beast may take some time off, and that's probably what's going to happen. Josh says, Chris, you older guys were the ones that made me tough.
Yeah, bro. I remember them days. It's all right. That dude is tough now. Get it together.
Hell yeah. Awesome. I love it. All right. So we got Lesnar and Ricochet out of the way now. And now let's here's one I want to jump in and talk about here. This gauntlet match. I've never heard of this damn thing. You got AJ Styles with Andrade, Bobby Lashley, Eric Rowan, and R-Truth, and Rey Mysterio, and a gauntlet match for the Tukiki Trophy. What the hell is this thing? The Two-Wake. What the hell is a Two-Wake?
I have absolutely no idea. It just sounds phonetically correct given where they're doing this. But the Two-Wake Trophy gauntlet match is a first ever. Honestly, we don't know what to expect out of this match. We have absolutely no idea really what all of this match is going to entail. We don't know if it's elimination style. We don't know if this is going to be a multi-team thing. We don't know how this is going to work. If they could come in at intervals, no idea what this gauntlet match is going to be about. So honestly, it's one of those kind of wait and see things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if just the talent that's listed on this for this gauntlet match, who would you go with to win this?
Honestly, with Andrade as champion and given the people that are in this, it's only going to go, I think, one of a couple of ways. Either Andrade is going to retain, or this is going to get dropped to either Bobby Lashley or AJ Styles. However, I'm going to go with the fact that given certain makeups of this match, I think Andrade is actually going to retain the United States Championship and be able to move on and as champion.
Okay, Andrade is going to be your pick there. I may have to go with, I'm going to go outside the box on this one, dude. I'm going to have to go with Eric Rowan.
Really?
Yeah. For the fact
Dark
that,
horse.
Yeah, but for the fact, man, for the fact that Eric Rowan, he had his one loss against Aleister Black on this past Monday on Raw. But they've been booking him in squash matches. They've been building his ass up, man. They've been building his ass towards something. So,
yeah, they have.
So I figured McMahon has a hard-on right now for this guy. So, I mean, he may have McMahon's hard-on in that sack he's carrying around, you know?
Snap.
Yeah, and it has his head on there, you know, and every time he opens it up, and it's like, damn it, Rowan. You okay there?
Oh, sorry. Just envisioning anything sack-related to Vincent Kennedy McMahon and the family jewels. It's just too much to handle. But honestly, I kind of like your dark horse pick because that would be a huge shock to everybody involved in this match, because everybody involved in this match has won a singles championship except for Eric Rowan. So that'd be very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, if you look at it this way, you have AJ Styles. He's won, the WWE Championship twice. He's won the United States Championship, 2 times already? Or 3? Two. Andrade, he's won it once. Bobby Lashley, he's won multiple championships.
It's multiple championships.
R-Truth, R-Truth won the 24/7 European Cruiserweight Hardcore
7-Eleven flip floppity flop.
Yeah, championship 1,000,000 times already. I've lost how many times he's won that damn belt.
30 or 40 something now, I think.
Yeah, and then of course Rey Mysterio, multi-winner. Eric Rowan is
Three-time world champion.
Yeah. Eric Rowan is the odd man out. So I figured this guy hasn't won anything. So Vince is probably like, Rowan, get out there and squash him. And, take
I love
my
your Vince
balls.
impersonation.
Yeah, take my
Your Vince
balls.
impersonation is pretty spot on, sir.
But if these guys are smart enough, Chris, if they crush the cage, it'd be like taking Undertaker's urn away and taking his power away. So they might beat him that way. But I'm going to have to go with Eric Rowan on this one, man. I am.
Ooh.
Yeah, I definitely am. Eric
Dark
Rowan.
horse.
Yes, dark horse. I'm going to go with this one, man. I definitely am.
Oh, man.
Now, let's jump into let's talk about the women. I cannot believe the women are having a match here because they did it last year. The women had a match last year. First time ever. And they're doing it again this time. You have Bayley defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, given how the last women's match went between oh my gosh, why can't I think of names right now? Natalya Neidhart and
Lacey Evans.
Lacey Evans. Why couldn't I think of that right now? And it was a good match. Honestly, it was really great to be able to see them and be the first time ever for women to compete in a wrestling match on this type of nature. Obviously, there were certain things imposed, like the shirts and stuff like that. I just wonder if there's going to be that kind of overbearing tone to the match, though, because you also remember last match that they had in Saudi Arabia with the women was very stolen of its storyline, stolen of its luster, stolen of the emotion that went into it, and was more just of a wrestling showcase that was put on just to make a milestone. But with Bayley and Naomi, who are far more athletic, in my opinion, on both sides, can really put on an amazing match. And I just wonder what kind of restrictions they will try to hold them to. Hopefully they let them go all out. No matter what, though, between these two, I'm going to call an upset and say Naomi's going to win the women's title.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And I think Bayley holding on to that title here for the longest time. I think it's just, man, she's held on to it long enough, and there's nothing really being done with it. So therefore, having the championship go towards Naomi, that would be great, because I could see her holding it on to this championship, bringing back some more prestige to it. And a prediction, maybe we may see Naomi versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 36 this year. Just something to throw out there.
I think that's actually what's going to end up happening, and I think that's also why she's going to end up dropping the belt to Naomi beforehand, just because it would end up taking away that distraction, unless they want to put the title on the line at WrestleMania. But I don't know if they're going to do that quite yet. I think that might happen in later matches, but we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Naomi on this one, because that'd be neat, though. But I'd be shocked if Bayley walked out of there, because I don't really see them doing anything with Bayley, except if they do something like with an NXT character.
Right.
But I don't know. There was rumor about Bianca Belair going after Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and maybe doing something like that at WrestleMania. I don't know, man.
Could happen.
It could happen. It definitely could happen. Now, let's jump into this tag match here. The second tag match on this pay-per-view.
Yes.
Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy defending the Raw champ. I'm wanting to say SmackDown. Defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against the Street Profits. And I'm just going to have to say, when they won the belts, Rollins and Murphy, I was shocked about that, because I wanted AOP to win that. I wanted them to win it, not these guys. Not these guys. They should have not won it. AOP should have, though. But they gave the tag team titles back to Rollins and with Murphy this time. And a tag team like the Street Profits, they're athletic. Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford are just phenomenal in the ring. No pun intended. They're just to find something, and this is more be himself, and him being with Montez Ford, the Street Profits. These guys are just great. I enjoy what they do with their in-ring abilities and stuff. And I got to see that on Monday Night Raw this past Monday. I got to see them do singles, how they are in the singles. Singles competitors, they're great. Tag team, they're great. So I'd like to see the Street Profits win, but I have a feeling that the Monday Night Messiah and Buddy Murphy may retain the Raw Tag Team Championships.
Remember, it's not Buddy Murphy anymore. It's just Murphy. Because he's WWE's best kept secret. At the end of the day, with this whole entire angle, it was just built up for them to have this match in Saudi Arabia just to try and make it worth something. But at the end of the day, I think Seth Rollins and Murphy are still going to go over, especially if they get any more outside help. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. I think it's going to be very back and forth, but ultimately I see Seth Rollins and his disciple Murphy going over.
Okay. All right. We both agree right there. Disciple Murphy and the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. I'm the Monday Night Messiah.
Sounds like a gremlin.
Well, he whines like that sometimes. You ever notice when he gets really mad, he starts whining like that. It's just, but damn. All right, so here we are, Chris.
Finally,
the main event here. The main event. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, defending the SmackDown, the SmackDown Championship, the Universal Championship against Goldberg. First off, I want to ask you, did you see anything that was happening here with the Goldberg the last couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks?
I've seen actually very little, given the work I've been putting in with Podcast City Network. So I've only seen the little snippets. But literally the only reason we're even seeing this match is because this is in Saudi Arabia. Because look at when Goldberg comes back. It's always when they're either A, taking a trip to Saudi Arabia, or B, doing WrestleMania. And that is it. So, excuse me, it's interesting to see this match come together as quickly as it did. I think it could be interesting given how they've built the Fiend. But this is just a novelty match for Saudi Arabia. So while I feel it could be a good match, ultimately I still think that the Fiend Bray Wyatt goes over.
Okay. So you believe the Fiend is going to go over? I believe it too, because he took a spear. The Fiend took a spear, and it didn't affect him because he's indestructible. You could take a hammer and a mallet to his ass, and it's indefective. And he rolled over like it was nothing. So Goldberg is going to put on a match, but the Fiend is going to win. The Fiend is going to win. But here's a question, Chris. Yep. Is he going to wrestle the Fiend or Bray Wyatt?
That is actually a good question. Mm-hmm. Given how they're building the match and given that a lot of the promotional pictures have him as the Fiend, I'm going to say it's going to be as the Fiend, just because they're going to want to put over the fact that he's going to go over Goldberg, because we've seen him against Seth Rollins and everybody else that he just goes and is nearly indestructible, which makes this, that type of matchup, the immovable force against the unstoppable force against the immovable object. And this is that match, but ultimately you can't put the belt on a part-timer. That, and it's in Saudi Arabia. But then again, that could also be another reason Goldberg goes over. So who knows? We'll see. Mm-hmm. WWE's real weird about their choices sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know if they're they have any plans with Goldberg for WrestleMania this year. I don't think they are. I don't think they have anything planned with him, because a lot of the stuff with WrestleMania 36 this year is kind of shady and stuff.
Yeah.
Which
really
it is. And you figure some of this stuff is going to lead into WrestleMania this year. But that's not the case. It's not the case. It's just, again, like I said at the top of the program, This card looks like more of a house show, a live event where you get these matches, and that's what it feels like. It's just a live show. That's all.
Yeah, it's
special.
a slop together. That's really what it comes down to, because all of it is random. None of it makes sense outside kind of the women's match. But at the end of the day, like Lesnar versus Ricochet, Bray Wyatt versus Goldberg, those are your two main title matches. Those are novelty matches.
Yeah.
And one very likely could be a squash match. So this is a very thrown together card, and is really just curtailed for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. That's it. It's just thrown together. It's thrown together for the fact that this is a show for the Saudi people. They threw out all this big money to WWE. We want Goldberg. We want your AJ Styles. We want your Brock Lesnar, and we want yada yada yada. And just there you go. That's basically what's happened here. That's what's happened.
Right.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what you're getting right here. I'm not going to be too upset if things happen here. They may carry some stories over. What would you think? What stories they would carry over into the next few months for WrestleMania? What if looking at this card here? Look at these matches here. I could point out probably one.
Only one. Honestly. Because neither of the title matches are going to stretch unless they plan on bringing back Goldberg in some kind of way, which a lot of the rumors have been Goldberg's not wrestling at Mania.
Right.
So with that out of the way, that match is already put on the shelf. Obviously, you're not going to see Ricochet in any kind of way beyond this title match in the title picture.
Right.
So that's out the window. The tag team title matches, if Seth Rollins and Murphy drop them, they're going to be probably going in a new direction, and they're just going to be given more rise to the Street Profits at that point. So that's going to be next. Even if the Street Profits end up losing, they're just going to end up, Seth Rollins and Murphy will just end up moving on to the next tag team. So gone nonetheless. Same thing with the SmackDown tag titles. It's going to be the same thing. That actually might have a potential to keep going, but this is more novelty than anything, I think, as well. So, like, no matter how you look at this card, I don't see much except maybe Bayley and Naomi carrying on after this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would have to say, yeah, Bayley, Naomi, I could see that. I could see that going over, carrying on there. Looking at Roman Reigns and King Corbin, I don't think that's going to carry over.
I think this is finally it.
Yeah, this is finally it in the steel cage, and it's going to be done with, because I don't know if they're still going to go with the plans for the fact that Roman Reigns is going to go after The Fiend for the Universal title at WrestleMania. Those plans are getting changed, and pretty much this is just going to be just a wrestling show. That's it. That's all it is. That's all it is, a wrestling show. That they can have this match, or these matches here. Hell, they can have them, like, what was it they did a few years ago? The Beast from the East pay-per-view thing in Japan.
That's right.
Yeah, this is pretty much what something like this is. That's what they're... Pretty
much. Yeah. It's an international showcase in a way to help bring in more fans. That's really what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is out of the three... I think these guys have... WWE has about three appearances this year in Saudi Arabia. This is the first of two, if I'm correct.
Yes, it is. And we got to keep in mind that they last year signed an extension to do more shows in Saudi Arabia over the course of the next 10 years. So it's going to, I don't know, it's going to be interesting. We'll see how a lot of it works out.
Yeah. That's what's going to be interesting about this. See what they do in the next 10 years with this. I mean, they're throwing money at them, man. There's just like, there you go. There's your money. There's your money. But all in all, what would you say would be the match that everyone would be talking about off this card here? Match of the night and worst match of the night.
There's so many ways a lot of these can go. It's really going to be kind of tough to call any one match that's going to be horrible. With the Tawake Trophy Gauntlet match, you don't really know what to expect because we don't know what the rules are.
Right.
So that has the potential to probably be the worst match on the card, even with the people involved in it. But outside of that, realistically, a match that could be good if done right, Bray Wyatt and Goldberg, as long as Goldberg doesn't give himself another concussion somehow. But honestly,
True.
my dark horse pick, Brock Lesnar and Ricochet, I think could have a surprisingly good match. And I think they might try to hype Ricochet to actually look really good, because this is the classic David and Goliath scenario. And honestly, on a wrestling side, in Ricochet and Brock Lesnar can do probably some wonderful things together in this match. So we'll see how this one turns out, though.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to, just looking at this card here, I'm a sucker for this guy. I know, with the bad and good that comes with him.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
I'm gonna have to go with the Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Goldberg. I liked Goldberg in WCW back in the day, and I liked how when he came back a few years ago.
You're such a Goldberg sucker.
I'm sorry, man. I'm old, man. I'm freaking old. Just like Josh said, we're old. You old guys, man. I'm an old guy. I'm sorry.
Hey, he said older. All right.
Well, okay.
I try not to age myself too much, given what wrestling has done to my body. So
yeah, because that taking the bumps and everything and stuff. Yeah, of course.
My back would implode if I tried to do that right now.
David Russell agrees. He agrees with me. Whatever it was, we got a little delay here on the stream. I think it's like a 20-second delay. So just keep that in mind. 20-second delay. I should throw it up on the thing here, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, that's beside the point. Yeah. But overall, what do you think this show has the potential to do? What are you going to give this show a rating of right now? How do you think it will turn out?
I believe this show, if everything goes great and goes good, I'd have to give this show a C. Just an average.
Ooh.
Yeah, just an average show. If they keep the restraints on the talent and not let them go too crazy, I believe that they're not going to. But if they let them go out and do whatever it is that they need to do, I'd have to say I'd give this I'd give it a B. It'd be a B show, but I'm going to keep it at a C. This is just an average live event. Just, hey, we got these matches, come watch them. We're here to entertain. That's all it is. It's like going
through the motions.
Yeah, that's all it is. There's nothing that where I'm like, oh my God, Chris, this is gonna be the greatest match. I'm not excited. I'm not too hyped up about it.
Yeah, we're definitely not saying that about the show in any type of way.
No.
Because personally, I think the show could be a little bit better than a C. It just really depends upon, like you said, what kind of restrictions they may put on them, on the talent that is. But how they actually work these matches, plan these matches, and their execution is going to be big, because it's always really hard to travel overseas and have matches on the fly, especially there's a steel cage match in here. Like, it's hard to have this kind of matches and be able to make sure they're successful on very little rest a lot of times. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. I think it has the potential to reach to, like, honestly, all the way up to like an A- show if things are done right. But realistically, I'm going to give it probably about a B- for how the show's really going to turn out.
Okay. So you say this is going to be a B- show, or
B- show,
B- show, or A-.
A- at best, B- for what it should turn out to be.
Okay. I'll go with that. I'll go with that right there. If they do the structure planning and they do the proper stuff and things they need to do, it's going to be
And the
great.
production value has been getting better, honestly, year to year when they've been doing shows over there. And I think it's because little by little, Saudi Arabia is letting them do more. So I think eventually, like, the reins are going to start to come off. You probably won't see like the edgy content from WWE like they've been trying to push the line with lately. But at the end of the day, I think it could at least get to a conceivable, realistic level.
Yeah, I think they can. I don't think they can push too much of that kind of content on the Saudi masses, because the Saudi people don't know how to react like that, man. They may end up
they ain't got any idea.
Yeah, they don't have any idea. They may end up taking honestly, Chris, if they do go that far, they may end up making them disappear like that reporter a few years ago.
Whoa! Hey, now remember, we can't be going missing now.
Yeah,
you got to be good.
Yeah, can't go and missing. Can't go and missing. I don't know how Eric Rowan could go missing, man. You can't miss his ass.
Yeah, right. Oh man, you know what else you can't miss though?
What's that?
All the great stuff on Podcast City Network, bro.
Oh yeah,
got so much great stuff going on, and now we got this 2-year anniversary show as part of the hometown throwdown with Seven Kingdoms ticket and rendered abstract. It's going to be a great show. I really can't wait, dude. I'm really pumped for it.
Yeah, I am too. I am definitely pumped for this right there. And I got the poster back up there after I take off my stuff there. Talking about the Podcast City Network 2-year anniversary show. March 7th at City Limits Tap Room.
Mm-hmm.
All ages welcome. $10 cover charge. Doors open at 8. And we will be doing live coverage starting at 5 p.m. on Facebook Live on Podcast City Network. So be sure to check that out, man. And yeah, Podcast City Network has a lot of great content. A lot of great shows. You can check out Chris and Craig on Final Score. If you love sports, you can check out their podcast there. They're always talking about something with sports. So be sure to check them out.
Man.
You can find them on podcastcity.net right here, Everett Lee Show.
Let me give them the rundown. I've been getting good at this. We're almost 50 episodes in. We're going to be having episode 49 this weekend, Sunday at 1 p.m. Keep an eye out for the graphic. It's going to be coming out tomorrow. Got a lot of great stuff going on. A lot of interviews in the future, see what happens. It's going to be exciting. But we could see what happens. We're about to hit episode 50. It's going to be an exciting time. We just recently did a Super Bowl show. Great stuff. But make sure that if you want to keep up on all things Final Score, that you go on to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and give us a like, follow, a rating, a share, whatever you can. Just search at PCN Final Score and check us out. And of course, see us on our myriad of different content platforms on YouTube, Podbean, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and of course, Spotify. Check us out across all of those platforms, as well as new now on the Bullhorn podcast app, as well as on Podchaser. So definitely go check us out on all those. Give us a like, give us a follow, check out all of our content, and of course, leave us a rating. Let us know how we're doing, because me and Craig always try to bring the very best we can when it comes to our sports show, Final Score.
Nice. I want to give a shout out right here in the chat to David Wallencheck. Yo, what's up? And he put out there red. My glasses are fogging up, man. I got new glasses. This shit is driving me crazy, or I'm getting old and I'm going fucking blind. All right. Red liner. I can't even read that. You read that, Chris.
Want me to get it? All right, I got you. You're talking about Redline Radio LLC?
Yes. .com in the house. Thank you for joining us. And Craig James, the Final Score, just jumped in. What's up?
Yeah, he finally jumped in, but he's like missed most of the show.
I know. What the hell were you doing? Were you doing Podcast City Network stuff?
He probably was. That guy works hard.
Yeah, he probably was.
That guy works hard.
He does. He definitely does work hard. And as always, man, podcastcity.net. You can check out Final Score, the Everett Lee Show, Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast, Wrestle Popcast, The Imaginarium of Scott and Todd, Super Radio Brothers of Mark, Rich, and Ben, Best Friend Podcast Show, and Mark the Shark MMA Show, if you're into MMA, and the Squared Circle City Show, and much, much more content over there. Oh, yeah, Movie Nights Podcast. Can't forget them. You love films?
You can't forget those guys.
Can't forget them, man. Shout out to all the shows on podcasty.net. You can follow them for new episode releasings on Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, Podcast C Network, and Twitter at Podcast C Net. Subscribe to Podcast C Network YouTube channel for video portions of this podcast and previous release podcast, and much, much more content by Podcast C Network. And follow them right here on twitch.tv/ little Chris Carnage there, Podcast City Network. Be sure to follow them right there on Twitch.
Backslash.
And of course, you got to give myself some love. You can follow Everett Lee Show on social media on Facebook right now. Those viewing on Facebook, Give me those thumbs up. Stick them way up in the air, man. Thank you for tuning in. Love it. I definitely love it. And you can follow me also on Twitter at the Everett Lee, Instagram, Everett Lee Show, and audio portions of this podcast and previous release podcast over on YouTube, Everett Lee Show, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Podbeam, and of course, iHeartRadio. Anyone who has iHeartRadio, be sure to check out the Everett Lee Show there. I read a comment here. We got a Jordan Garber says, "Is there a call-in number or no calls?" What do you say we pull up the phone line, take some calls real quick? Take a couple. Chris, he's freezing up, man. He's glitching. Is he glitching?
I say I about lost you there.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that's a bad sign.
Let me go ahead. Let me throw up the ELS phone number right here, right there. Go ahead, give us a call, 386-206-1595. Hopefully you can hear this, Chris. If not, just watch the playback video there. So let me go ahead and pull up the number here again, if I could find it. I got so many things going on at one time here. Where the hell is the ELS phone number? I don't have it on your screen.
Well, see, look, second sign.
Second sign. I have it. I have it on mine right here. Yep. All right, there's the phone number, guys. You want to give a call. If you call and the line's busy, please wait or keep trying to call because we want to hear your calls there. So, thank you, Josh Lampard. He followed Podcast City Network on Twitch. Thank you so much. Johnny Westcott, thank you so much for following Podcast City Network on Twitch. Kyle Blizzard, owner of Go Wrestle here in Daytona Beach, Port Orange. Thank you for following us on Podcast City Network on Twitch. And Christopher Classy, thank you for following us. Scott Wood, Cody Giles, David C. Russell, thank you. And Allison Mabe, thank you. And really, it's probably because of the calls or the people jumping in here. So, you still good there, Chris?
I don't know. I'm like popping in and out. I keep losing a little connection here.
Yeah. Because we got
I got to put out there, if you guys can still hear me, is make sure to check out Chris Carnage across all of his stuff. I got to give myself love too. So check Chris Carnage out on Facebook at facebook.com/Chris Carnage Official, on Twitter at Planet Carnage, and of course on Instagram at The Chris Carnage. Definitely check out all the great stuff we have going on, especially when I appear at the 2-year anniversary show of Podcast City Network, and we'll be having all the great interviews with Rendered Abstract, Thicket, and of course all the people at Seven Kingdoms, including the great Camden Cruise. Tell you what, we put up some pictures recently that look actually pretty awesome. Definitely got to check those out on the Facebooks and the Instas and all that stuff. But definitely make sure you go check out Chris Carnage. Hey fans.
Hey fans. I love it. I love it. There's the phone number. I found it. Right there. Yay, I found it. There's the phone number. All right, so it looks like no one's biting. So let me go ahead and just take the phone number off. All right, so that's pretty much the show. The show is pretty much done for tonight, don't you say?
Yeah, I think we've hit everything pretty good. Definitely make sure to check out everything we've shown you tonight. Podcast City Network, The Everett Lee Show, all the other great shows, Final Score, Chris Carnage. Check us all out because we try to bring the very best that we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all we can do. That's all we can
That's
do
right.
with the Podcast City Network. But again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight here on The Everett Lee Show. And I want to thank my guest, Chris Carnage. As always, you're always welcome on the Everett Lee Show, man. And
yeah, I got to come back on more often.
Yeah, you do. You do. This is where you started at, man. This is where it all started for you.
It's where I cut my teeth.
That's where you cut your teeth at, episode 17. This
That's
is like
right.
what the hell? What episode am I on? 173. This is 173. God
I actually
dang.
had to check the title of the show just to see what episode we were on.
I always forgot. It's like I do this in my sleep now. You know, it's funny. Going back at all the episodes I've done in the last 2, 3 years, 4 years almost now. I forget half the stuff I talk about. I have to go back and remind myself because you talk about so much stuff. But besides that, man, we're gonna hit this outro and pretty much it.
Oh, just real quick, just because he keeps throwing it up there, don't forget Deathmatch Russell podcast Friday night. Go check it out.
Yes, that's right.
Throw that in there real quick.
Yeah, that's right. I'll have to play the intro again now. But yeah, Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast. He is going to be live on Podcasting Network Twitch channel right here on Twitch and over on Podcasting Network's Facebook page Friday night at 8 p.m. David, throw that up there. 20-second delay. 20-second delay. 20-second
20-second delay.
20-second delay.
It's all good, though. We'll see it eventually, but definitely make sure you check out Deathmatch Wrestle podcast.
Yes, definitely. And that's the show. So, Everett Lee signing off. Have a good night. And we'll see you again next week for another episode of the Everett Lee Show. Peace.